This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
Welcome to the program Thoughts and Visions of Dr. Emmanuel Egariba on Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa. We'll be looking at quite a trendy issue today. It has to do with politics and morality, and who else can delve on this issue other than Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Well, I think the reason is that, well, first of all, I'm not a politician. Okay, so one is in a vantage position to talk about a few things. But before we start, today is very important in history. Today being April 8th.
Yes.
It's important because on this day in 1817, the New York Stock Exchange was established, and that changed global trade almost forever. It's the largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization exceeding $25 trillion last year, 2024. So we see that this is a very important day in global trade and business. All right. If you are not quoted on the New York Stock Exchange, it means something is wrong. And I look forward to Nigerian companies really being quoted on the New York Stock Exchange. I remember a few years ago, the only company quoted on the New York Stock Exchange was from Ghana, incidentally. So I'm looking forward to a time when, as I said, it's the biggest stock exchange in the world. So it controls global trade and finance. So it is important that we should talk about it today. It's a very big day in history.
Exactly.
Right.
We would also delve into it because we'll not just limit our talk on politics and morality to the Nigerian scene. First of all, we would let us start off with the issue of this trade thing that is going on between the US and other nations before we sideline it to Nigeria.
I think we'll just reserve another program for that. That we don't get too much into what we're going to discuss today.
Okay.
It's very important because I'll just say briefly that it has sent shivers down the spines of very many countries, particularly in Africa. Yes, and the reason is obvious. But as I said, we'll reserve it for another day.
And so let us calm down. How possible is it that you have morals when it comes to politics, especially in Nigeria?
I think I remember what Mahatma Gandhi said many years ago, and one of the most profound statements that came out of that gentleman is the fact that one of the tragedies of modern day is politics without morality. Okay, he said it very profoundly, and I suppose that it has swayed along, really. It has swayed all along, because in this day and age, morality is out of politics completely. We don't even talk about it. Some people will even tell you, if you talk about politics and morality, they will tell you that what has morality got to do with it? I mean, it's as bad as that, really. Particularly in our country, the political elite do not count it as anything. They just take it as if nothing is happening. Whereas morality is the foundation. I mean, when you go into politics, it's really the foundation. Because the politicians, for instance, but look at what is happening around the country now. It's amazing. It's amazing, really, what is happening at the highest level of government. People have thrown morality overboard. Even things that normally should bother everybody. It doesn't bother the political elite. You know, these things don't bother the political elite, really. And I'm beginning to wonder where we are going from here. But I think that there must be issues to address. I mean, for instance, the issue of temperance. Temperance will mean self-control. A politician or a political actor who doesn't give room for self-control is making politics a child's play. Okay? So we must talk about contentment. Contentment is an issue of morality, and it's not there. When we are talking about politics of today in Nigeria, people don't have contentment. You have billions. You still want to grab and grab and grab. I mean, that's terrible. You dig your hands into the public till, and you don't you don't really care about it. What does it matter? That's a question on the lips of most people. What does it really matter? I mean, when I say most people, I mean those who are in the political class, for instance. They will tell you, what does it matter? I mean, if you dig your hand to the till, it doesn't matter to them. Truthfulness doesn't matter to them. Okay? I'm just taking these points one after the other. Maybe we're expatiating them. Integrity doesn't mean anything to them. What do my friends say? What does my family say? It doesn't mean anything to the political class, and it's unfortunate. The issue of simplicity is also one of them. We carry on as if we are the be-all and end-all. We carry on with so much airs around. Okay, there's so much. I mean, look at the way some of people, even in the assemblies, carry on. Talking of state assemblies, I'm not even talking of the National Assembly. That's a different ball game altogether. They carry on as if the world is at their doorsteps, all right? And then the issue of piety. Piety would mean loving God for who He is and doing things according to the rule of morality, because that's where everything ends.
Okay.
When you talk about piety, all right. So we must look at all of these things holistically.
All right. Some schools of thought believe that religion and politics cannot go together, because true religion will get what you call morality. Are you of this school of thought?
No, religion is a different ballgame, actually. I mean, it's. I mean, that's where you have a conglomeration of Muslims, Christians, atheists, for instance, coming together. I mean, so religion has nothing to do with it. But morality runs across all of them, all right? I mean, what is wrong, patently wrong sometimes, either in Islam or Christianity or even ATR. So we are looking at the basic principles that are founded in most of these things, for instance. I mean, don't tell me that temperance is not common with Islam or it's not common with Christianity, right? I mean, these are issues that we must look at. Self-control. I mean, look at what is happening in across the country now, the issue of harassment, sex harassment and things like that. It just shouldn't arise. Such issues should not even arise in the first place.
Okay.
Because you see, in developed countries, the best people come into politics, the very best. They must look at your home front. You must look at the way you have brought up your children. Must look at the way you relate with your family members. They look at the way you carry on with people in your neighborhood and things like that. But here it doesn't matter. Anything goes. Anything just goes. All right. So we find a situation where sometimes it is the worst that comes into politics. And they will tell you, most of them, for instance, will tell you, what does it matter?
Okay.
What matters is bread and butter. But it goes beyond that. This is the best that should come into politics.
Okay.
Yes, and based on your pedigree, really. Most of the people we have in politics have no pedigree. Come to think of it, their pedigrees are questionable. And that is why, for instance, in advanced democracies, you must abide by the tenets of marital obligations. Yes, you must abide. Marital obligations, you must stay glued to your wife, for instance. I mean, that's important. If you cannot stay glued to your matrimonial obligations, chances are that you're going to misbehave somewhere else. That's what it is. It's a natural law, for instance. So we cannot vitiate that. We cannot.
You were born in an era where you had politicians, a golden age, kind of, who played politics with morality. Do you think that era can come up again in Nigeria?
It can be replicated. It depends on the kind of leadership, and of course, it also depends on the kind of the political setup that we have. Politics these days is such that, I mean, positions go to the highest bidder, for instance. That in itself goes against the rule of morality. Okay, it goes absolutely against the rule of morality. You leave the best because he hasn't got the money, and then you go for the worst because he has all the money to spend. That against, I mean, it's aching. For instance, when I see some of the things going on in our environment, I just, it's a pity really, because politics, as I said, is supposed to be for the very best, the people around, for the very best, because these are people who will not carry on as if the world stops at their feet. They won't do that. They will think of compassion, they will think of a few other things, they will think of integrity, they will think of simplicity, and carry on as if God himself has ordained things, and that is true anyway. God ordains all of these things, but they will carry on as if without these attributes, nothing works, which is good. Without these attributes, nothing works. The attributes of temperance, of contentment, and all that. Without these attributes, nothing works. In politics, nothing, absolutely nothing, I say it. Yes.
And so it brings me to my next question, because you talked about political setup. Do you think that the INEC is part of the problem in this country as regards the way politicians carry themselves without morality?
Even the people in INEC, you ask yourself, for instance, I mean, that question should even be thrown at me. I wish you could have a phone-in program, and people will tell you that if you have a leader in INEC who is upright, he won't change figures. No. His conscience will break him, by the way. He won't change figures. He will play according to the rules. That's where morality comes in.
Okay.
It supersedes every other attribute, really. Integrity is part of it, okay? Piety, the fear of God, is part of it. If you have an INEC chieftain who is in charge of an electoral process, he will do it, he will carry out his duty according to the rules. According to the rules. He will not allow sentiments to sway him. Necessary sentiments sometimes. So this man is from my clan, the other one is from my... All those cleavages have no rule in what we're talking about. And so it even goes into government, all right, and governance, of course. So when you have people who are upright, and the Bible is always right. One of the things I want to talk about is when the right people are in position, the people smile, and that's natural. When the wrong people are there, the people groan, all right? So that's what the Holy Book says, and we must abide, we must heed that if we must proceed. It happens even in corporate business, not just in government, not just in politics, even in corporate business. No cutting of corners. Yes. Because if you have morality standing by your side, there will be fear of God. Yes.
If we go down to Wole Soyinka's, one of his statements, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. The issue of simplicity, is it possible for politicians in Nigeria to be simple?
Of course, yes. What does it take? It takes nothing. From your dress code. It starts from your dress code. It starts from your relationship with your followers. It starts with your relationship with your constituents. For instance, it is possible. Absolute power, we think more of power than what it takes to bring out the tenets of power. Yes, that in itself might be a paradox, but that's what it is. We think more in terms of power. Let us grab power, and whatever we do with it is not anybody's business. Okay? And that is what is happening in very many African countries, right? The quest for power, yes, it is not something that you need absolutely. Yeah, the quest for power is almost absolute in some parts of the continent, where people think that the quest for power ends with power. But it doesn't. If you want power, then the things that go with power must be upheld. They must come to the front burner. And what are those things? I've just mentioned some of them, okay? Tied to the issue of compassion. If you're a leader and you're not compassionate, then you're not in leadership. Yes, you're not in leadership at all.
Brings us to the issue of truthfulness. We've always heard, I won't mention their names now, some individuals in government who always come out to tell you that the economy is getting better. And we know, as Nigerian masses, that it's not getting any better. How can this issue be tackled?
Again, it comes to the issue of people abiding by their conscience. These people we are talking about, they have conscience, but they rule out the dictates of their conscience. Okay? And I've often said, excuse me, I've often said that the greatest exercise a man can be involved in is to wrestle with your conscience. It's one of the greatest events, sporting events even, that you can think of, well, in quotes now. Wrestle with your conscience. If your conscience says what you are doing is wrong, then stay away from it. Okay? But that's not happening in government. It's not.
Exactly.
Their conscience tells them something, and they say something else. So there's no truthfulness. So they work across purposes, for example. And I don't think that is good for the polity It's not good for interpersonal relationship when you're in government. It's not even good for your relationship with the people that you lead. Okay, so it must be, in any case, there's nothing to conceal. There must be no concealment. You must bring out your resume. Yes, no falsification of documents and things. You must bring out your resume. Let the people know you for who you are. Let the people know what is happening in the administration for what it is. The administration, if there are hiccups, it may be economic policies and all that. Then you can always say so. There must be room for improvement. So you must give people the right information all the time. There should be no concealment. That's what I'm saying.
All right. If you remember very well, when you were in government, you had your own house. You preferred to stay in your house. You were offered a government building. Go stay. And you said, no, let it be put to better use. What could have prompted that, actually?
You know the irony in that. I was a much younger person. Yes, I was in my 30s. I was a much younger person. And you should have asked what prompted, in spite of the age.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
And I just thought that, why not? Age has nothing to do with it anyway. No, absolutely nothing.
It has nothing to do with morality.
With giving out the best.
Best.
I mean, in terms of morality. I mean,
Okay.
age has nothing to do with it. Because there are many people now who are over 7 or 80 who are stealing public funds and things like that. What has it got to do with that? And yet, I know that in this country, there are many young people in their 30s, in their 40s, who are upright. Okay? Who are doing things according to the rules. Now, to answer your question directly, I mean, I just thought, having my own house at that point in time, what is the point? I was comfortable with it. A young family. Then I had 2 kids. Young family. And the one they were offering me, I told I don't want to mention the name. I told him at that time, I said, sir, this place can be used for press people who are coming from Lagos and elsewhere, maybe to interview the governor or some top government officials. You know, that's a way of letting them know that we care for their needs. For instance, that we could put to good use. And it was not abused. Okay. No, it was not abused. I mean, I say quietly. And of course, you know, when Abacha came and drove everybody away, I entered my house quietly.
Exactly.
Yes. And I think that is what should be happening now, really. If you have your own house, yes, why must you go for government quarters?
I remember at that particular time, you also drove yourself to and from.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
Most times I drove myself. Why? Well, no big deal. Look at Jakonde, for instance. He was governor of Lagos State in the Second Republic. He used his personal car throughout, and he stayed in his house. Look at Ambrose Ali, for instance. He had no other house, maybe a 3 or 4 bedroom room somewhere, a flat somewhere. That's all he had. Yes, but those virtues are gone.
Exactly.
Yes, and they are tied to contentment, which is a basic point in what we are talking about now. Contentment. Once you have contentment, you have everything. In fact, the richest person in the world is the man who has the greatest contentment, right? So it must happen in such a way that we must not go into government or politics for the wrong reasons. A lot of people go into politics for the wrong reasons, to make money. No, it's not. It's to make your name. That is what is uppermost. Make your name for posterity. How do they remember you?
Exactly.
Yes. Are you going to write your name on the right page of history? Yes. How do they remember you? I mean, today, for example, we still remember Obafemi Awolowo.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
But there are many people in this country, they are forgotten completely because of the things they did while they were in office or while they were in politics. Okay? So those are the things we talk about.
And so, politics and morality. We've seen a rise as regards corruption, not just in this country, especially in African countries. Is it the absence of morality that brings about corrupt practices?
Again, contentment.
Okay.
Contentment. Because if you have contentment, you already have billions. Why are you going for other billions? People gather money. Look, let me tell you. People gather money in this country. Money that they can never spend. I mean, a man taking 100 billion. What even if you have to eat currency on a daily basis? How are you going to do it? Yes. That your fourth generation cannot exhaust. I told you about the monkey syndrome. I don't know if I mentioned it on this program. The monkey is a very funny creature, really. I mean, if you throw bananas at the monkey, he will grab and eat. He will leave that, he will go for apples. As you are throwing, he's grabbing, he's eating. So at a point in time, you have heaps, leftovers. Well, there is no contentment. Yes. Our political actors I'm sorry to say this, there's no contentment at all in their dictionary, in their lexicon. The fear is, should they leave public office, they go into penury, and it's not true. It's not true. If you manage yourself properly, why must you go into penury? So the fear of the unknown is what drives them to some of this. But it doesn't make sense to me, really, because that's what some of them I've interacted with many of them. That's what they say.
Okay.
Yes, but it doesn't make sense. What stops you, if you're a lawyer, for instance, you go into politics, fair enough. After your office, go back to your law chambers. If you're a medical doctor, go back to your clinic. If you are a journalist, go back to your media work. Yes. When I finished as a CPS, I went back to, as a CPS in those days, I went back to EBS. Yes. I went back. And a lot of my friends of that generation, they went back to their places. And they probably opted out at a point in time. What I'm saying is that a lot of people, they go into politics, and at the end, they want, that is why you find, for this fear that they talk about, which is unfounded, by the way, from governor, they want to move into Senate.
Exactly.
From the Senate, they want to go to governor. From House of Reps, they want to go to minister. From minister, they go. So they radiate in government. Can't you do things outside government, for heaven's sake?
Okay.
Yes, your impact can be felt outside of government. They become citizens of government. So they radiate around, and it brings about all sort of abnormalities. So my advice is that once you leave office, go quietly. If you're an engineer, set up a business. In any case, some of them were somewhere before they went into government or into politics. After your tenure, go back to where you were. Yes, go back. What stops you from doing that? Yes.
There's been this statement: politics is a dirty game. The absence of integrity. That's I wanted.
It's not dirty. It's only in this country you say that, and it's so absurd. Okay. The absurdity is it cries to high heaven that politics is a dirty game. It's not a dirty game. It is the people who make it dirty. I said it before at the beginning of this program. Elsewhere around the world, politics is for the best. You want to be an American president, they look into your pedigree. They look seriously into your pedigree. Yes, even in Britain, for example, in Germany, look at Chancellor Merkel.
Yes.
When she finished her tenure. She went back quietly into her private life. That's a professor of chemistry. Yes. She went back quietly into, but we don't do that in this country. Look at Bill Clinton, a lawyer of repute. After his tenure as the President of the United States, he went back to his law practice. Effortlessly. He went back. But in this country, what do you find? From when you finish your tenure as a governor, the next thing you are talking about now, no, I must go to the Senate. That is why you find that, well, the people say that, it's not coming from me per se, that in the Senate now you have many more people, or many people who have been governors. They just go there to do what? So, God knows. But what I'm saying, in effect, is that when you finish your tenure, you still can contribute in other ways to the development of your communities, the development of your people. You can. And let me also say this. A lot of people have money to give scholarship to people. Scholarship, even as private individuals. Gani Fawemi, for instance, was doing it in his law practice. He was giving scholarship on a yearly basis. He wasn't a minister, he wasn't a governor. The money he was making from his law practice, he used it for the benefit of the people. And I can count many who have done that. Okay? So we can. You can build structures for your community. In business. After politics, go back to your, if you're in business, go back to your business. You can contribute to the well-being and the wellness of people in your communities. I don't want to mention names. In this state, for instance, there are individuals who have been building structures for people, churches, and things like that. Yes. Dude, you can contribute. It's not only through policy. That's the mistake our people make. It's not only through politics you can contribute. God willing, I mean, this station, for instance, it will reach a certain point, we'll build up a foundation to help people who are in need. I've said it repeatedly. Here, I don't have to be in politics to be able to help. The aggregate of it all is that you bring some, I bring some, the other man brings some, and the whole thing becomes holistic. Yes, that's the beauty of it.
And so on this final note, so many individuals are of the view that if you make political office less juicy as regards monetary issues, are you of this point of view?
Oh yes, I am. You ask a politician, an average Nigerian politician, what's your profession? You will say politician. It's not a profession. You have your profession. If you're an engineer before you went in, then your profession is engineering, not politics. Yes, not politics. Now, to answer it quickly, must you... Sometimes it makes me laugh. You go for primaries. The people who are going to vote, they are looking for the man with the biggest pockets. In other words, the position goes to the highest bidder. And the person with the biggest pocket might not have this. Okay? Might not have the wherewithal. The man who is least endowed will have the solution to some of your problems. Who is least endowed in terms of finance. But they sideline him because he hasn't got the money. And you go for the money they go for the man who has the biggest pocket. And then we run into troubled waters. That's what is happening. It's been happening in this country, for example. And it is the bane. It is, in fact, the major bane of our political evolution. We must try and avoid the issue of money in politics.
Okay.
Yes, we must avoid that. Because if we don't bring out the best in us.
You raised the point that I apologize to our viewers that I said on the last note. You raised the point. Are you in support of independent candidacy?
I am, absolutely. Yes, and I am happy that most people in the National Assembly, they're already thinking of that, because two things are involved. You spend less as a political, what do you call it now? As
an aspirant?
Yes, as an aspirant, as an independent candidate. You spend less, all right. The second reason is that I think the party structure has failed us. Yes, the political party structure has failed. I mean, look at what is happening in the Labour Party, for instance. I mean, which is a disgrace. Yes, in the Labour Party. Look at it. I mean, the thing just got to the Supreme Court. They were fighting almost to death for who becomes the chairman. Okay. And it has happened in many other parties. I just use that as an example. But you see, the point I'm raising is, if you have people who are not quite endowed financially, but they are endowed mentally, go for them. Those are people sometimes who will say, yes, I know where I'm coming from, so I must not allow the people to suffer. There will be empathy. Yes. More often than not, there will be empathy. So if you have independent candidates, which I support wholeheartedly, you will spend less. Because a lot of people, political actors, what do to get positions? They go to bank managers, some funny bank manager somewhere. I want a loan, not to do business, but to go into politics, to spread to political party leaders. That's what they take money from the bank. So some of them even sell properties. I know a man in my own local government, he was going for a chairmanship of a local government. He sold 2-3 buildings. He did not get a position. After a while, he died of hypertension.
Okay.
He died. I mean, because he couldn't cope any longer.
And so let's now imagine that kind of person who has sold buildings now gets into power. He tries to recoup.
To recoup, yes, that's what happens. But if you go there depending on absolutely on what you have, the little you have, because already you have contentment. You have contentment and you have morality standing as a shadow, is by your side. What will my family think? What will my friends think? I like, I'm a Rotarian, for instance, and I like what the Rotary principle says. Is it the truth? The four-way test. Exactly. I mean, people can read it, or you can Google it and read the four-way test. Is it the truth? Will it bring out the truth, for example? So, I am saying, in effect, that we need moral rearmament in this country. We need moral rearmament, and we need institutions to build up moral rearmament. A lot of people just jump into politics without the right foundation. Yes, particularly those who are going for the highest offices of the land. You must go through a process of training, of right evaluation. In England, for instance, you cannot just become a prime minister. Yes, no, you must have gone through it. I mean, even in the US, you must have gone through the tutelage. Yes, you must go. The right institutions, for instance, you must have gone through. Because you see, at the end of the day, it builds up your mental power. And it builds up trust between you and the people you are going to lead. Say, yes, we know where it's coming from. Okay? But in this country, many of our leaders, political actors, we don't know their pedigree. We don't know where they are coming from. We don't know what's their thrust for the issue of governance. No. There is a disparity and it's almost total sometimes.
Well, exactly. You just talked about trust. Well, there was a time in this country where you had goals. Individuals who come out that they will tell you a manifesto. They come out with a manifesto and say this is what we want to do and all that. We don't have all that anymore.
Truthfulness is not there because they know that well, of course, it's to capture votes and things like that. But you must abide by what you say in your manifesto. A lot of people, Nigerians are saying it. No, this party, you are not going in accordance with what you promised. Oh, I will give you free education. I will give you this free healthcare and all sorts of things. At the end of the day, what happens? Policy somersault. Policy somersault. And that negates truthfulness. You must open your resume. Let the people know what your capabilities are. Yes. You must walk the talk. That's the summary of it all. I can see that.
Doctor, thank you so much. Yeah, we just been giving the MCRA has just been signaling there's another program coming up, and so we're eating deeply into that time. We could go on and on and on. But then keep a date with us as Thoughts and Visions of Dr. Emmanuel Egariba will be coming up later again in the week. But as usual, a parting shot.
This is a short one, really. A parting shot should be that our political elite should play by the rules. Okay? Don't give bribes to judicial officers. Don't give bribe to electoral officers. Play according to the rules, for goodness sake. It has often been said. People talk about the judiciary today. Who corrupts the judiciary? It's not the political class. It's a political class. Okay? Even the INEC we are talking about is a political class. No, just change these figures for us. Even professors, unfortunately, are involved in this kind of malaise.
Exactly.
Professors who are supposed to be up and doing, absolutely upright. Professors. They are engaged in this because they know that their bank statements will be enhanced. Okay? So my plea is that the political class must play according to the rules and uphold the values of morality in politics.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, on this note, I want to say once again, thank you so much for watching, for staying tuned. Please don't go away as our main news will be coming up soon.